How should we fix the English cricket calendar? This is on the back of England's terrible ODI World Cup campaign, and Joe Root saying they should have played more ODI cricket or one-day cricket, and it should have potentially replaced the Blast. I love Joe Root, but I think he's got this horrendously wrong. But before we get into this video, make sure you like this, leave a comment, subscribe as well, check me out on social media at alights98, and go and check out the Cricket Casuals, because we are hosting the Content Creators Cup next year, which is going to be a huge event with all your favourite cricket content creators. Right then, so Joe Root said the England side should have played more one-day cricket, and that was the reason why they've done so badly, because they just simply haven't. I don't think that's the worst idea in the world, but he said he wanted to scrap the Blast, and no mention of scrapping the 100, which I think is killing English cricket at the moment. There's obviously the County Championship, the One Day Cup, T20 Blast, and the 100. So you've got 4 cup competitions in English domestic cricket, and I think that's simply too much. It's too congested. You've got these players who are wanting to play every game, which is great. Some have to be financially viable in their lives. You know, they simply don't earn enough money. The top players who are playing multi-format cricket, I think it's just too much. It's going to kill them. If you look at Ben Stokes, you know, injury-wise, he wants to play every format, but I don't think his body can. I think the shining light is, if you look at Jimmy, obviously 41, still playing Test cricket, doesn't play T20s, doesn't play one day, rarely plays County Championship, but he gets himself in a position to be the best he can be for Test cricket. Now, I think English cricket should prioritise Test and Red Ball cricket, so that is your County Championship with all your 18 counties, and that is where you put all your money and your investment to make that the best competition you can be. Obviously, it's not the most interesting format, especially for new or even younger fans. It's quite boring, but for the kind of staunch cricket fan, it is the pinnacle. Test cricket's the pinnacle. Red Ball cricket, that's the one you want to be in. That's the one you want to kind of watch. Then you have T20 cricket, or very short format cricket, which is your money spinner. That is where you're going to make your money, make your revenue, and that's where you're going to get the best crowds. You're going to introduce people to cricket. That's where it should be. And I think the 100 wasn't a bad idea for that. It's just the fact that nobody else plays the 100. It's a completely different format, and the fact that, you know, it's 5 balls per over, 10 from one end. I think it's quite difficult then to go, oh right, you've watched 100. Oh, but now you're going to go into T20 cricket, which is 6 balls. You know, you swap ends. There's so many different things. I think it was a good idea, just poorly executed. The money really should have gone into the Blast to market it properly, to attract bigger players. I know we get pretty good ones, and then it should be played in the height of summer, where the 100 now is, attracting all like the school kids. Everyone's available. It's summer holidays. But I actually believe the Blast could be even better if it became a franchise tournament. I know it's everyone loves their county sides being in it, but I think there is a position where we can have a 10-team tournament, very much like the IPL, where we say, look, anybody can come and own a team, own a franchise. So it might be Qatar, it might be an Indian owner who's going to have a lot more money. They come in, but they have to pay a percentage to the counties, so that they know when they're coming in to buy these franchises in England, it is going to go and help the ECB, it's going to help all the counties, it's going to grow the County Championship, make that a better competition. With a franchise T20 tournament, you could bring something back like the Champions League, where the English franchises play the IPL, the South African ones, PSL, BBL. You then create a bigger interest, a bigger tournament, because I don't think we have something like the UEFA Champions League in football, where it kind of interconnects. I know there's intricacies around, you know, say if Joffa was playing in England, would he play for Mumbai in the IPL, or the franchise in America, or US, or South Africa, sorry. How would that work? But, you know, you then could potentially have transfers between franchises around the world, which again creates more revenue, more money back into the game. I think as well, within 10 franchises in England, you could have one, in the north and dot around the grounds up there. You could have one in the southwest, in London, the Midlands. You could then. The problem is, currently, I live down in Torquay. The closest grounds that I have to go to are Somerset and Sophia Gardens in Wales, which is Glamorgan. So it's like 2 hours to get anywhere. We need more infrastructure. I think that's the thing. And then a franchise tournament would create that revenue where you could potentially have purpose-built stadiums, maybe where they aren't at the moment, to bring cricket all around the country. You could even potentially invite an Irish team or a Scottish team or a Dutch team to come and play in the competition, and create more players and help their pathway as well. In regards to one-day cricket, I think it is dying a death. Unfortunately, I just don't think the appetite for one-day cricket is there. I mean, even if you look at this World Cup, it's held in India, one of the craziest cricket nations, and unless India were playing, the crowds were pretty small. The problem is it starts so early in the morning, like until you get past 5, 6 o'clock when everyone gets out of work, you're never gonna have the crowd in. So it doesn't help the way it's scheduled, and I think we're not very clever on that. Is that yes, ODI is great in the terms of that it's a mix between T20 and Test cricket, and you get all the tactics, but it's simply not fit for purpose in terms of an interesting tournament. What I'd do in England is make it an FA Cup style competition, because every amateur side is going to be playing one-day cricket, 40 to 50 overs. You then have a competition where everybody in the country is involved. So your early rounds in, say, late April, early May are going to be very, very good amateur sides. You could potentially, I think there's about 6,000 clubs in England, so you could actually have like a prelim round in the very early stages of pre-season where every amateur club plays a local side. They move on to the next round, they might play another one in their local area, then in their county. You then have the minor counties involved and the professional, the major counties as well, the 18 major counties. So you create a nationwide competition where every cricketer could potentially get to the final, which I think is why the FA Cup in football is so appealing, is that, all these players who dream of playing at Wembley, you'd have something like that in cricket where we all dream of playing at Lord's. So why wouldn't you do that? And then, you could potentially have more interest in the competition, because you go, oh, I played in that competition, I played against so-and-so, they're now playing, you create that interest all around the country. And young cricketers, imagine that, they start out on a cricketing journey and they go, oh, I've been selected to play in the one-day FA Cup or whatever, ECB Cup. I could potentially play against a professional cricketer, a 13, 14-year-old. You're going to be buzzing about that. So I think that is one way that ODI cricket could survive. But I just don't see there being an appetite for one-day competitions going forward. I just think, especially for new fans, you're not going to sit there for 6, 7 hours. It's a little bit boring. And actually, the only good bit about an ODI is the last 10 overs, the last 20 overs potentially, which is just simply a T20, T10 game. A little addition for you. Cricket is now an Olympic sport. I think it will be first played, well, it was initially played back in the day, but it will be played at LA 2028. And it's something Simon Dawes said on commentary, is that I think it's going to be quite hard to generate interest, because the Olympics should be the pinnacle of any person's sport. So I think actually, if the Olympics became a T10 competition, where there's no T10 World Cup, and there shouldn't be, but if you have a T10 competition as your Olympics, and that is the pinnacle, then maybe there is opportunity to have a little, T10 prelim competition or something around a T10 league. There is one over in the Caribbean, I believe, but there's not one worldwide. It's very similar to the 100. I wouldn't say make the 100 the Olympic competition, because I think that, I hate the 100. But I think T10 could work nice, and then you could actually have T10 games, you know, because there's only going to be max 20 overs in that competition. You could have men's and women's back to back, and then that would create a kind of a diverse competition. So you'd effectively be paying for 40 overs of cricket for 2 games and watching the best players from the men's and women's game compete, and I think that would be a really nice thing. But let me know what you think in the comments. How should the English cricket calendar evolve? Make sure you leave a like as well and subscribe for more cricket content.